Sonax Cut Max. So if you were a beginner, if you're new to polishing, you would probably see the price of this stuff and think, wow, that is expensive. It must be overpriced. It's just a compound, right? It's just made to take a little bit of paint or a little bit of clear coat off of the surface to make the paint shiny again. You know, take some scratches out. So I'm going to explain kind of why this isn't overpriced. So here we've got a panel. We've got 3000 grit sanding marks, 1500 grit, 1000 grit, and 400 grit. So this is the least intense and this is the most intense level of scratching on this panel. So there are a lot of different compounds out there that can remove scratches quite effectively. But there's a lot of differences, and some are major and some are pretty subtle. But with Sonax Cut Max, it's just a really, really nice product to work with. So right now I'm just shaking up the bottle really well because those abrasives settle. So anytime you're using pretty much any detailing product, you want to shake it up really well before you use it. But when it comes to polishes and compounds, it's even more important, I would say, than just about anything else. Because if you let the abrasives all settle at the bottom and then you just pour it right out at the top, you're not going to get the proper amount of abrasives onto your pad, and then your compounding is not going to be effective, or your polishing. So I'm just going to give a quick rundown here. So this is just a test panel. I'm not going to do this all perfect or anything, but just so you can see about how much compound I've got on there. So when you're going to polish or compound something, you'll see, if you watch detailing videos, you'll see them tap it out like this, right? And why? Why would they do that? Just to maybe spread it out or to give them a reminder of where they're going to go polish? Well, I think a lot of them do it and they don't even know why. They just saw someone else do it that way, so they decided, oh, you know, that's just what you do. Well, the reason for that is that if I have all this compound on the pad, and if I don't spread out the compound, then if it's one of these abrasives that's going to start breaking down as you use it, if you just put it on the pad and start in one area and then move to the next area, then it's going to be more effective where you start than where you end, because those abrasives are going to start breaking down pretty much immediately. So you'll be more effective right here and less effective over here. So when you spread out the compound like that, it basically creates an even abrasion over the whole panel, as opposed to just putting it on the pad and going for it. Because you have some on the pad and some on the panel that's fresh. So you're going to pick that up as you go across it, and that's going to give you the even coverage. So I'm just using a medium cut pad here, which is not nearly aggressive enough to take out probably this 1000 grit. Definitely not 400. That's way too much. But we're just going to give it a quick shot just to kind of showcase this. So, headphone check. So I'm not trying to be textbook here or anything. I did that one-handed with my fixed rotation dual action polisher. So see how easily this wipes off? It just comes off like you're cleaning up water. It's almost like just wiping water off of a panel. There are so many compounds out there that you would be here for 10 times as long and not get all of the stuff off of it, all the compound. Because they're just the way they're formulated, they're just stickier, they're just more goopy. So that's part of why this stuff is so amazing, is because you can see from looking at this panel, see we've got the 400 grit stuff is definitely still there, and then the 1000 is pretty much gone. Like you can still see some streaks from where it was. The 1500 is just about gone as well, and then where I polished on this 800 level, it's pretty much gone too. So it just cleaned that up like it was nothing, and that's with just a medium cut pad, not a heavy cutting pad. It's medium defect pad. And so what I'm getting at is it's highly effective and it wipes off extremely easily. So there's some paints that are actually very brittle, so they are difficult to correct. So you need like a heavier compound to correct the scratches, but they will actually scratch very easily. And those are what we call not detailer friendly paints, because they're just a pain to work with. But with something like that, having cut max can make all the difference, because you don't need to wipe it aggressively once you're done with the compounding. You can wipe it off really lightly and it'll come right off of the panel. Whereas if you use something else, like say this, fast correcting cream. This stuff is great. It's a great value, great bang for the buck. It's like 22 bucks I think for 16 ounces, while this Cut Max is about 18 bucks for 8 ounces, 8.5 ounces, right? So it's literally half the price, but it's actually about 3 times or more difficult to remove from the panel. This is actually one of my favorite cutting compounds aside from Cut Max. Pretty much the only thing I use anymore is Cut Max, but the Griot stuff does a good job. And then here's another one, Benzerna Heavy Cut Compound 300. Now this stuff doesn't work as good as Cut Max, and it is it's not water based. So if you're working in a garage like I do, I work in a 400 square foot area with this stuff. I mean, you need to have like a serious air purifier in here or something, because the smell of it will just make you want to pass out. It's terrible. This stuff, again, difficult to remove. This is Chemical Guys V32. It doesn't leave nearly as nice of a finish as Cut Max does. With a lot of finishes, a lot of paint types, the Cut Max, you can just use Cut Max and it will look fantastic. It won't leave any haze. It just takes the scratches out and it looks great. With something like this, there's no chance. It's going to leave defects in the paint to remove the other defects. Then you got to use something else to get the defects from that compound out. And it's just a whole thing. It's not good. Here's another one, McGuire's Ultimate Compound. This stuff works pretty good for a lot of circumstances, but again, it won't cut nearly as much, it won't leave as good of a finish, and it's harder to wipe off. I could just go on and on. But this stuff is fantastic. The only thing with this is it's actually better than Cut Max at removing scratches from extremely hard surfaces, really hard paints like Volkswagen paint, depending on what year, and I could go on with that. But if you got a particularly hard paint, this stuff is number one, hands down, by far. But for an overall compound, it's not as good because it's not going to work as good on as many surfaces as Cut Max, even though it is a fantastic compound. That's another one that I couldn't go without. But just wanted to make this video to kind of showcase, why certain things cost more, and I guess the logic behind it. So the reason this is more expensive is because it's going to save you a lot of time and a lot of hassle if you're doing this on a regular basis. It doesn't have any smell to it. It corrects heavy defects extremely well. It wipes off extremely easily. And it leaves a higher gloss finish than any other compound that I've used that actually takes as many defects out as this stuff does. So to me, it's worth every penny, and it's my go-to. I just wanted to share that. I'm not sponsored by anyone. I just want to help anybody out there that does the same thing as me, or just wants to detail your own car, and just kind of explain why that costs so much more, but it's actually worth it in the long run, because you're going to get the results faster, and they're going to be better, and you'll have less work to do after you've used it. So it's definitely worth, really its price, which is twice as much more than a lot of the other competitors that are also, there's a lot of other great compounds out there. But for me, it just works the best, and I really hope that this video has helped somebody. Please like and subscribe, and leave your comments or questions down below, and I'll be happy to get back to you. Thanks for watching.